Here we go. Um, I okay, I'm going to date myself. I'm a little bit older. Okay, a lot a bit older. I started college in 1993 at UCF, and I was actually met that summer, right before college. Okay, the TLDR version is I was met in 1993 and I was baptized in 2001, 8 years later. It was a process, um, but it was an amazing little journey. So the summer before I started college, my parents went on a working vacation to New York, and they had a business partner at the UN, and their son, who was a film student up there, his job was to babysit me pretty much. I was like 18 years old, in the big city. His job was to pretty much keep me busy, right? So summer 1993, I'm all over Manhattan, and it turns out this guy's a disciple. And every once in a while, we break out and go to Hunter College. We did two. Oh, we got a couple people coming in. Welcome, guys. Hey, just telling my conversion story. Yeah, service started at 7 today. Let us know whether you like the 7 o'clock or the 7:30 better. I figured we start at 7:30 or 7, and we could get in earlier, get out earlier. Um, I know we all have our lives. Anyways, back to the story. So this gentleman, his job was to just pretty much babysit me, right? And I was meeting a lot of interesting people. I went to his small group, which was his ministry was the AMS ministry, where it was like models. They were models and actors, Broadway actors. So I was surrounded by like these beautiful people, and I was like, "What's going on? Who are all these people? Why are we in a group setting?" And then every once in a while, I'm having a good time. In the fast big city, and every once in a while we'd stop and do a Bible study, and they would ask me these crazy serious questions, these life or death questions. And I was young, I was 18. I was like, hey, why are you guys asking me these questions? I just want to have a good time, just want to have fun. And so I resisted a little bit, but because I just wanted to have fun. But I was there for a week. That Sunday I went to church. It was in the basement of some hotel. And I remember that it was like the most beautiful church service I had ever gone to. Okay, some background. I was raised Catholic. And when I was 14, 15, life got a little bit turbulent, and I was praying. I was praying to God a lot to show me the way, because there were a lot of denominations. I was reading a lot of like like pamphlets and material about other religions. Like, wow, which one's the way? And I'd ask God. I was like, God, show me the way. I don't know the way, And I feel that during my life, God did show me the way many times, and this was like one of the first times, he was showing me the way. I had a good time with my buddies, my new friends in New York, and when I left after that service, he gave me a Bible. I told him I'd look up the church in Orlando, and that was great. That guy actually ended up being in one of the Twin Towers during 9/11, but he was in one of the lower levels and he got out. All right. So I got back to Orlando, and I did a cursory search for the church here, and I didn't find it. I found something called the Disciples of Christ or something like that. And I called them up, and I didn't really, didn't make any connections. But I started college, and that second semester, Someone on campus met me, talked me up, and we were just talking, chatting, and it turns out that he belonged to this club called Alpha Omega, and it was associated with AICOC. And I was like, oh, that's my friend's church in New York. It's like, wow, that's a crazy coincidence. And I was really excited. It's like, wow, I found my group. And I went back to my fraternity house because it'd been a year of college, and I joined a fraternity. And I talked to one of my mentors, and I was telling him I was really excited. I told him, hey, I found my group. I found my church group. And he was like, what's the name of it? Like, oh, Dante, don't go there. That's a cult. They're weirdos. And that freaked me out. That was like, I have to admit, I was a coward, And I gave this dude my number, and this was back in the day of answering machines. He would call me up, leave messages on my answering machine. And I was like, whoa, who's this weirdo? Then when I saw him on campus, I'd walk to the other side of campus. I'd just totally avoid this guy. And yeah, that was like, that was the second time I was met, right? And so a couple of years later, my little brother in the fraternity, he was a mentee, I was a mentor, whatever, big brother, little brother kind of situation. But after a year in the fraternity, he found the church. He found the church, and his priorities started shifting from, like, college fraternity stuff to real stuff, to church stuff. And I thought that was weird because at the time, I mean, from 1993 till 1999, I was living 110% for this fraternity. I was undergrad for a long time. I really liked school. I liked the party. That's what I like to do. And so I was really dedicated to this organization. And so when my friends started kind of being pulled out of it, we were in different worlds, and I thought he was a weirdo. And I actually visited the church a couple of times in '96. We used to meet at the DoubleTree near Universal Studios, the towers. And so, yeah, I went a couple of times, and it was interesting, but I never really made connections, and I was losing connection with my buddy that was joining the church. He's actually still in the church right now. Jason Tomlinson, if you don't know him, Jason and Johanna. So a couple years after that, and this would be the fourth time, I was working in the computer labs at school. This was August 2001. I was helping a girl in the lab, and this is when there used to be computer labs on campus. I don't know, they're not very prominent now, but back in the day, there were a bunch of them on campus. So I was trying to get this girl's phone number. I was like, hey, can you get your number? Yes, I was that guy. And she turned it around. She invited me to church, and I made no commitments, but I was curious. So I'd ask her, and she told me, it's the Orlando Church of Christ, ICOC. And I was like, oh, that church. I was like, do you know about your church? And she was, she was adamant. She was, held her ground and said yes. And I figured, I'd heard bad things about the church, and I had some experiences with it. But I figured I'm an adult. I can go and figure it out for myself, what this is all about. And I visited a couple of times. That was campus ministry, 2001. And I remember my first impression was, okay, why are they all hugging me? Why are they smiling so much? Right. And I remember just being hugged by perfect strangers. And I was like, it's kind of weird. I kind of like it, but it's still kind of weird. Yeah, so some life happened from that first time I went to the campus that time. I had family in town, so I stopped going. And then 9/11 happened. And then a couple months after 9/11 happened, she invited me to church again. And so I went and I made some connections. met some people, scheduled a Bible study. And so when we started studying the Bible with this Bible that I was given in 1993, I realized, oh, this is the same thing. This is the same. I've done these studies before. And, I had underlined and highlighted some parts, and it was like, oh, wow. And I started connecting the dots. And I remember after that first Bible study, I talked to my mom, and this is when I was living with my parents again. Like I told you guys, in my late 20s. I think I was 26, maybe. I don't know. I was living with them at the time. And I told my mom, hey, I think I want to get baptized. And she was like, you don't need to get baptized. You're baptized when you're a baby. You don't need to. So there was some resistance there. But I quickly came to, I figured it out, and so that was the part of, like, in my notes I have it as the search, but it wasn't really a search. I was just wandering, and God kept on opening doors for me. I remember thinking about God a lot and asking for the way, but he'd be opening these doors for me, and I wouldn't go through because I was living my life. I wanted to party. I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. But then my eyes were open when I started studying the Bible again. And the point in the studies where it just all made sense to me, where I decided to really commit to God. And what converted me essentially was there was the study of the medical account of the crucifixion. I don't know if some of you have done that or not, but it's a very descriptive scientific study of, or observation of, the crucifixion. And it's really brutal. It's really brutal. And I'm an artist, and my brain, while we're doing this study, I'm imagining it all. And I'm like squirming. I'm like, oh, wow, when did that happen to me? And I was like, oh. And so I'm like imagining this. And these studies are really serious, So back in the day, the campus ministry at UCF, we had a lot of associations with the UCF football team. One of the campus leaders was he was a UCF football player, and there were like a lot of the campus. We had like 3 football team members that were part of the church. So remember that study, it was me and Tommy. I don't know if any of you remember Tommy Shavers, but he had golds, right? And there were these 2 gigantic football guys, right, studying with me. And here we are, we're studying this medical account. And the question was posed to me afterwards, so what do you think about that? Right? And something I had a conviction of early in the studies was to not lie, because it doesn't make sense. God knows everything anyways. It doesn't help you to lie. But I did not want to say what I was thinking, because it was a harsh thought. And I really thought these people were going to beat me up if I said what I was thinking. And what I was thinking was, and what I eventually told Tommy was, better him than me. Better Jesus than me is what I thought. And I was about to cry, because that's a hard thing to say. And I really thought these guys were going to beat me up, because physically, spiritually, something, because it's just such a crappy thought, right? And Tommy replied. He said, Dante, he still loves you, even though you feel that way. And at that moment, I realized that Jesus loves me, and I got it. He loves me more than anyone has loved me, right? He's loved me more than my mother's loved me. You know, right before the study, we'd studied out sin, and I was reconnected with like how what a jerk I am. You know, like, or I was at the time. Just the realities of my personality, that kind of thing. And Jesus still loved me even though all that, you know. And and it was at that moment that I decided, I had a mental like thing, I the idea in my mind, the feeling that led me to this commitment, this oath, if you will, was that I would die for Jesus because no one's loved me that much. And later on, I learned that, it's also good to live for Jesus. You know, it's good, live your life for Jesus, dedicate your life to Jesus because of how much he's loved me. And so that's when I made the choice. And when we have communion on Sundays, that's what I remember, The feelings then were really raw. And when I think about it now, like I am right now, I can feel those feelings, but feelings fade. But I remember that commitment, that choice that I made, like Jesus loved me more than anyone. So I will be faithful to Jesus. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys tonight. And yeah,